is so nice to see you guys and all of you this evening. All of you. Please turn to page 670 as we sing a little Hanukkah tune to remind us that guess what's happening on Sunday? Hanukkah is coming. Sivivon is the Hebrew for dreidel. Ready? Sivivon, sof, 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 Hanukkah hu Chag Tov, Hanukkah hu Chag Tov, Sivivon, sof, 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 Chag Simcha hu la'am, Nes Gadol haya Hashem, Nes Gadol haya Hashem, Chag Simcha hu la'am. Try it again. Sivivon, sof, 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 Hanukkah hu Chag Tov, Hanukkah hu Chag Tov, Sivivon, sof, 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 Chag Simcha hu la'am, Nes Gadol haya Hashem, Nes Gadol haya Hashem, Chag Simcha hu la'am. So this evening's Shabbat is kind of focusing on that theme of we don't always understand why things happen, but it's very possible that it's all for the good. And there's a character on the cover of in the yellow on your handout, and his name, well, that's not his name, but he's named for a Talmudic hero called Nahum Gamzu Latova. Gamzu means also, and also this, and Latova for the best. And he went through all kinds of things in his life where he was down and then up and then down and up. And no matter what, he would say, Gamzu Latova, it's all for the good. So why did they call him Nahum of Gamzu Latova? Is that with regard to any matter that occurred to him, he would say, this too is for the good. So tonight we'll be looking at the Joseph story. Joseph is called Joseph Hatzadik, the righteous one. And the theme will be success that lives within the not so good. So before we light candles, I'd like you to open your handout to the song, Let There Be Love. This is based on the Hashkivenu that we often sing, but it's just a different melody by Noah Aronson. So let's go over the words together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life storms. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Lishalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Shalom.
there be love
Help us.
and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Hashkiveinu,
Adonai Eloheinu,
Hashkiveinu,
be
Shalom.
Shalom.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. I'd like to welcome Danielle to come forward and bring in the lights of Shabbat in honor of Shabbat and her beloved mother's yahrzeit tonight. Please stand, page 120. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Please Shabbat shalom to one another. A smile, a hug, a wave, a bow. Shabbat shalom to all of our loved ones on Zoom this evening. Shabbat shalom. So now we turn to page 138. We welcome Sabbath Bride. The seventh bride is coming in. She's had a long week, like we have had a long week. He's very happy that Julian is celebrating his 9th birthday with us. And in all ways, the seventh bride is happy to come into this room, and we are happy to greet her. Beth Shalom, Ateret Bala, Gam B'Simcha, Uv'Tolam, Toch Emunei, Am Sikla, Ovi She's in. Please be seated. I'm going to turn to page 144. As we chant the Chatzi Kaddish to the Sephardic melody, Cuando Re Nimrod. Page 144. Yitkahadal v'yitkahadash Shmei Rabban Ve'ahanal tivrach hirutei ve'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyamechon uv'chayedechon Beit Yisrael Amen. Yishmei Rabba Mivorach Le'alam u'lamei Amayan Yitbaharach v'yishkavach v'yitpa'al v'yitromah v'yitnaseh Shmir Kodesh Shabrichu Leila min kol birchat shirata tishbechata v'nechemata Damirat be'alana v'imeru Amen. Please stand. Together on page 148. We are mindful of the seasons and the changes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim. Uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim. Umsader et hakochavim b'mishmeroteam barakia kirtsono. Bore yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech b'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai Tzivaot Shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue on page 150, thanking God for giving us the gift of Torah. Together. Ahavat olam Yisrael Amacha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah mitzvot Kimu mishpati Utanu limadita Utanu limadita Akein Adonai Eloheinu b'shofenu Umeinu nasiach b'chukarecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratacha U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu U'vahem negeh yomam v'layla Negeh yomam v'layla Ve'ahavat ha'asir Yimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael Page 152, we stand for Shabbat. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Join together on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet. So because tonight we're looking at this concept of Gamzu Latova, that things actually are for the best, so I'm going to ask you to think about to yourself or with somebody that you arrived here with, something that at the time seemed like so much of a disappointment, but ultimately turned into the right thing. Can you think about what that is? Can you take a moment to think about that? Where something felt like, oh, what a throwing into the pit this is. But actually, when you look at it, it was all for the good. Can you think of that? Take a moment.
But I can't remember what those lines were.
Somebody did it? Too many? How about one?
Nothing I'd want to say.
I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah. For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you look at where you are now and you say, oh,
Yeah. Grateful.
grateful. Up here with some of the band, we kind of talked about some of those things. Sometimes we didn't even mention exactly, but we kind of knew. Does anyone have one that they feel that they could share that is okay to share? Something that, something that didn't quite go the way you thought, but then sure enough, all for the best. Sherry, I'm calling on you. Yeah. Right. At the time. Right. Right.
Oh, I've got a good one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sherry.
I just thought of this. So 2 months ago, my boss left and I interviewed for his job. And I should premise this with saying that I worked far away from home. I had a long commute, and there's an office for, I work for Sacramento County, and there's an office near my home, very close to my home, and I've been wanting to work there for years. So I interview for my boss's job. I don't get it. This other person gets it. It was between the two of us, and he got it. And he does my job at the location I wanted to work at. So I applied for that, and I got the transfer, and I'm there now. And
Wow.
I'm supremely happy to be
Wow.
there and not to have to do his job.
Right?
Yeah. So that was-
Gamzu Latova.
Exactly.
Just choose for the best.
That's right.
You want to have another one? Yes, sir.
Oh, well, I got divorced in 2005. And 15 years later, seems to be working out.
Yes. Well, your hair's curly. Means you're happy. Yeah. Yes. So we say Gamzu Latova, this too is for the good. Gamzu Latova. So we don't need to do a whole big sharing, but I ask you to think about that as we go into our prayer on page 158, the crossing of the sea. Sometimes we think that the waters are going to drown us. Sometimes we think that the descent is too much. But if we can just let it settle and be, we find Gamzu Latova. This too is actually for the good. Not sure what's good about 100%.
Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, oseh shemen. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? When Moses and the children crossed the sea, they sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, oseh femen.
Gamzu Latova. This too is for the best. Let's turn to Vishamru on page 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam brit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam brit olam. Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafesh. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam brit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat.
We enter Tefillah together, page 164. Please stand.
Adonai sifata tiftach uvi yagita hilatecha Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagado Hagibur v'Chanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, u'Mevii Geula Livnei Bneiha, Leman Shemo B'Yavad, Melech Chozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Saram, Atah Gibur Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv Haruach u'Morid Gashem, Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato Lishanei Afar, Michamocha B'Gevurot, U'Midam Elah, Melech Memid U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'aman Atal HaChayot Metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMetim. Atah Kadosh B'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yalu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'amecha Yisrael, Tefilotam, Be'ahava Tekabel, Tehi L'Ratzon, Tamid Avodat Yisrael, Yisrael, We gather the blessings of this week, the interactions that went well, the challenges that we faced this week, and how they resolved into blessing. We gather them up like a bouquet and offer them up to the heavens above. Page 180. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. Amen. We turn to page 371. We open our hearts to anyone we know who's not feeling well. Perhaps it's the healing of their body. We got some of those at home, not feeling so well. We have those who emotionally or mentally or physically are kind of in a descent, and we give them faith that they will feel better and rise up. So we ask God to be with them, and I'm going to take a walk with you. I can pray with you. We pray for Raina Greenfield, Bill Roselle, Maida Simpson, Marna McEnery, Laura Sender Lawrence, Sandy Lewin. So the words Mishaberach, may the one who blessed the ones before us. I'm looking for it. Mishaber Chavotenu, Makor HaChayim Ve'imotenu.
Mishabera Avotenu Kor HaChayim Ve'imotenu Uyavarech V'yirapeh Et HaCholim El HaRevana El HaRevana El HaRevana El HaRevana Mishabera Imotenu Kor HaChayim Ve'avotenu Hu Yivarech V'yirapeh Et HaCholim El HaRevana 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 When we think of the greatest of biblical characters, we generally think about Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebecca is a test, Jacob and Rachel and, thank you. And then we jump several generations beyond the 3 patriarchs and the 4 matriarchs, and we reach Moses, who is the greatest prophet of all, who God singled out and connected face to face. However, there is one biblical character that is known as Hatzadik, the righteous one. And in the spheroid chart, in the mystical formulation of how the divine operates in the world, Joseph is foundation. He is Yesod. The character Joseph has that appellation of Hatzadik. Calling someone a tzaddik is the closest Jewish people have to saying saint. Joseph was not the only biblical person who faced suffering. They all did. Joseph was not the only biblical person who overcame suffering. Most of them did, one way or another. So what is it that made Joseph the righteous earn that title? I've come up with 10 epic events in Joseph's life to help trace his progress. If you recognize these epic moments, you can just nod and say, yeah, I do that one. He was favored more than his brothers. Yeah. He was gifted with a coat of many colors, and none of the other siblings got one. 2, Joseph gloated superiority over his brothers. He told them about a dream where they all bowed down to him. We might call that a spiritual descent into the pit of arrogance. 3, his first physical descent when he was thrown into a pit because his brothers were so sick of him, they wanted to kill him. But instead, they threw him into this pit, stained his coat of many colors with the blood of an animal, and then lied to their dad that an animal had eaten him. Do you remember this? Yes. 4, Joseph was then sold as a slave to the Ishmaelites, another descent into the pit of humiliation. 5,
He was then purchased by a wealthy man, Mr. Potiphar, and was such a success that Mr. Potiphar gave him almost everything he had. 6. The one thing Mr. Potiphar did not give to Joseph was permission to know his wife, Mrs. Potiphar, in a biblical way. However, Mrs. Potiphar did want to know Joseph in a biblical way, and when Joseph refused, accused him of violating her. Do you know that part? Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, Julian. Okay. 7, which then caused Mr. Potiphar to have Joseph thrown deep down once again into a prison. 8. However, in prison, Joseph was able to give accurate dream interpretations to 2 of Pharaoh's servants who had also found themselves in jail or prison, the baker and the cupbearer, who is known as the wine steward. The baker was hung, but the cupbearer lived, and the cupbearer remembered Joseph's dream interpretation skills when Pharaoh was having bad dreams. Remember this? 9, which brought Joseph out of the prison, got him cleaned up and ready to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, which brought him to prominence, importance, and prestige, which was very different this time in comparison to his youth, because Joseph acknowledged that it was God who was in charge and that gave him the ability to interpret dreams. 10, after the terrible famine, Joseph's brothers go down to Egypt to procure food. They don't recognize Joseph. He recognizes them. After some testing, Joseph reveals who he is. He holds them. He cries. He forgives them. He loves them, and he protects them. So that's what we know about Joseph. What do we know about Joseph's relationship with God? In chapter 39, verse 21, we get a hint. It says, God was with Joseph and extended kindness to him. Now, looking at all the pits that he was thrown into, all the trouble, all the descents, we might wonder how God was with Joseph and extended him kindness. We might wonder, with all the suffering, his rejection, his loneliness, where was God? Where was kindness in the pit? And how was it that eventually Joseph gives all credit, not to his own intellect, not to his own resilience, but to God? Winston Churchill said the following about the connection of failures to success. He said, success is going from failure to failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. That was surely Joseph. Joseph has been linked to the Talmudic character Rabbi Nachum of Gamzu, Latova. And for all times, he's known as Gamzu Latova. This too is for the good. Because of Rabbi Nachman's suffering in his lifetime, yet he always found it led to insight and allowed him to be even closer to God. Joseph exemplifies that ability to see God even in the darkest times of his life, and he also saw God in his times of elevation. Both, Gamzu Latova. This too is all for the good. So the Talmud calls it Gamzu Latova. I'm going to say it. Paul McCartney termed it as let it be. Say that. For the acceptance, for the ability to trust the bigger picture, to trust that we can grow and succeed from every experience that we go through. We can solve the mystery of why Joseph was called Yosef HaTzadik, the foundational human being, Joseph, the righteous one. So who is giving the announcements this evening? I see a president in the house. Ah, great. I see Oneg sponsors. And we're so looking forward to your Oneg. And it's so nice to have your son here. It's no Gamzu Latova. It's all for the good.
Well, welcome. It's so nice to be here and so nice to see everybody. Thank you, Rabbi Nan. Thank you for very nice evening this evening. Thank you, House Band. It's really nice. It's uplifting. It's fun. It's just kind of gets all the energy going. Really appreciate it. We're having the Oneg, so please, after the service, hang out a little bit, have some cookies and all the other stuff that we picked up. So hang out for a little bit. It should be fun. And then tomorrow at 9 a.m., Torah study will be here in person. And to the extent you want to do it through Zoom, it's going to be available that way. All right, Julie, you take over.
Bring it home. Okay.
Okay, there's no Neshama this Sunday. It will resume after the New Year on January 8th.
Yay.
We,
Get them in school.
okay, we look forward to seeing you all back next Friday, December 23rd, for our annual Hanukkah and new member service. It's an earlier start time at 6 o'clock. And remember to bring your menorah and candles to join together as we light the menorahs as one community.
And I'll be baking tomorrow, a bunch of latkes and all that stuff. So show up. It's going to be terrific.
Okay. Monday, December 26th, 6:30 to 7:30. Join us by Zoom for Rosh Kadosh and explore all the uses for Sage. You can register on our website. Friday, December 30th, special pre-Shabbat event, paint and prayer at 6 p.m., followed by Shabbat services at 7 p.m. To register, please email the rabbi to ensure enough supplies. And that's it.
All right.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So January 8th, we're back at Neshama, right? And January 8th is when we have our second of our CBS concert series. It's going to be beautiful music. And I believe on your handout, it lets you know what we're doing. It's going to be at 4 o'clock. Carly Neal is a gorgeous soprano, Robert Bond, tenor, and Luann Higgs, piano. And it will be a collection of love songs from operetta, early Broadway, and opera. You'll want to buy a ticket. It is truly a great treat that we're able to have this really, truly beautiful music here in this space. It fills it, and please buy your tickets online. So, my friends, we turn in our Siddur for Aleinu, followed by the Kaddish prayer. Page 586, please stand. Aleinu nishabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotze bereshit, shelo asanu kiguye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot adama, shelo samchalkenu kahem, vegoralenu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, Livnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser aretz, u'moshev yikara b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu zo, v'govhei meromim, Hu Eloheinu ein od. Emet Malkeinu Efesulato, Kakatu Betorato, Beatat Hayom, Behashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hua Elohim, Bashamayim Mima'al, Ve'al Haaretz, מתחת עינות, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Please be seated. Dear friends, we turn in our Siddur to page 598, and we remember those who have died in the last 11 months. We remember Judah Rosen, Elaine Kaplow, Carlos Garcia, Eric Friedman, Herschel Adler, Barbara Norman, Magali Grace Barana Apasoa, Murray Steingart, Gary John Newman, Ronald Claffer, Chris Bagoon, Cecile Ash, Chris Wynot, Ethan Nava, Bernard Elliott Ezralu, Judith Spivak, Bill McDonald, Alan Blickstein, Carol Trachtenberg, Danny Yashby, Jean Rubin, Sarah Lipson, Karina Blue, Robin Ash, Ricky Joe Miller, Victor Gabriel, Ida Brody, Jen Garcia. And we remember the archetypes of Dr. Victor Ash, Marcel Baer, Pearl Shirley Blue, Karen Cargill, Mary Malkin Cohen, Edward Dawson, David de Beauvois, Morris Freed, William Garcia, Jeffrey Hess, Frederick Johnson, Arthur Kahn, Laverne Kane, Ivan Krakowski, Harry Matzkin, Myra Cohn Merrill, Rebecca Owen, June Rubin, Sylvia Schneider Grossman, Claire Seidenberg, Rachel Weissman, Eleanor Wintrell, John Zaret. Other names in our community? Please stand as one family. Yes. Judah Rosen. Yes, I said his name, and thank you. Thank you. That's okay. Zichronam Livracha, may all their memories be for a blessing. Page 598, Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yomei chon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemed kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all Israel and to all the world, to which we say amen. Please be seated. So, it says that God was with Joseph. He was a successful man. He's the only one who's called it tzaddik, the best we get towards saint in Judaism. And it has to do with his being able to allow things to be and to see them for the best. David, can you tell me a little bit about McCartney's words?
Let me see. Sure. Right off the bat, when you hear this song, the first thing you hear is, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. And as a Jewish community, we might be troubled by that. But I want to set your minds at ease, because Paul's mother, Mary Patricia McCartney, died of cancer in 1956 when Paul was 14. And McCartney has said that he had the idea for Let It Be after a dream about his mother during the period surrounding the sessions for what has now become known as the White Album in 1968. McCartney would later say, and I quote, "It was great to visit with her again. I felt very blessed to have that dream. So that got me writing Let It Be." In still a later interview, he said that in the dream, his mother had told him, "It will be all right, just let it be." And when asked over the years if the phrase Mother Mary in the song referred to Mary, mother of Jesus, McCartney has typically replied that listeners can interpret the song however they like. So we leave that to you to digest the way you would like. I like the idea of a dream about his mom. I think that works. That works for me. So we give you Let It Be. 1, 2, 3. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
When the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. Though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Let me hear you.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. It's the words of wisdom, let it be.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. When I find myself in trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. My hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Shabbat Shalom, everybody on Zoom. Shabbat Shalom to all of you.